If you're on a budget and you see this at Costco, definitely pick yourself up one. It is an amazing whiskey. Welcome to Whiskey and SV. I'm your host Sam, and tonight we're going to be drinking some Four Roses small batch bourbons. So the purpose of this episode for me is to know if the very relatively regularly available small batch select it can hold a candle to the much more limited edition and unique annual release, which is the Four Roses limited edition small batch product. Now, this one I got from Europe, so you can see that it's 70 centiliters instead of 750 milliliters, so it's 50 milliliters less. And it is their 135th anniversary, which came bottled at 54% ABV. I will tell you what this blend is, but the main thing that you should know is that the youngest blend in the youngest bourbon in this is 12 years old, and the oldest, which is only 5%, is as much as 25 years old. Versus this one, which today I got at Costco for a whole sale price of $40, the small batch select. This one is advertised on the Four Roses website to be a blend of 7 or 8 different recipes, which I'll go into. And I believe they are 6 to 7 years old. Now, my journey with Four Roses started with their regular 100 proof single barrel product, which used to be around $40 at Costco. So if you go on the Four Roses website, you can see that they say that single barrel, the palate is hints of ripe plum and cherries, the nose is dried spices, pear, cocoa, vanilla, and maple syrup, and the finish is smooth and delicately long, whatever that means. But more importantly, the single barrel that is their kind of first enthusiast sort of first step to their enthusiast line is their OBSV variant. Now, I think I've gone over this once before, but I will do it again. So Four Roses has 10 different recipes, and they're all listed on their website. I'm going to put a link and I'm going to show you guys. So they usually have, O is always the same. It's always basically, it means the Four Roses distillery. The third letter being S, it just stands for straight whiskey or straight bourbon, I should say. And so it's always the same. So the O and the S are the same. The first and the third letter are always the same. The second letter is a mash bill. They have 2 different mash bills. They have mash bill B, which is 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% barley. And they have mash bill E, which is 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% barley. And then they have 5 different yeast strains. So the yeast strains are V, K, O, Q, and F. So you can see that if you go back to the single barrel, the 100 proof baseline one, OBSV. So the B is like the B is I guess that's the high rye variant. So I guess if you have more rye, you're going to be more spicy, right? And then the yeast variants are VKO, Q, and F. So V, which is the one from the regular single barrel, is delicate fruit. K is slight spice. O is rich fruit. Q is floral essence, and F is herbal notes. So the small batch select, the product that we have here, is a combination of OBSV, which is delicate fruit and rye, OBSK, which is rye and baking spice, OBSF, which is delicate and mint, OESV, which is delicate fruit and caramel, OESK, which is baking spice, and OESF, which is light grain and mint. So don't worry, these can get kind of complicated. You can go on our website and check these, but in the end of the day, it's kind of good to have an idea of these because, basically they have these 2 mash bills and these 5 different yeast strains, and the combination of 2 times 5 is 10 different combinations that they can have. And yeah, the tasting notes for the small batch select, I'll just read them: apricot berries, vanilla, and light oak. Nose is raspberries, cloves, and nutmeg. And finish is lingering spearmint with a light touch of cinnamon. So spices, basically, right? So what is the limited edition made from? So this year's limited edition, the 2023 version, was a 14-year-old OESK. That's 40% of the blend. There's 12-year-old OESV, which is 35% of the blend. There's 16-year-old OESV, which is 20% of the blend. And there's 25-year-old OBSV, which is 5% of the blend. So you can see that the youngest bourbon in this is more than double the age the oldest bourbon in this, almost, right? It's like 12 versus 7. Um, so I I'm not gonna hold my breath that these are gonna, be similar, but I just want to see how different they are. So I am gonna blind them just to, uh, you know, just to see for funs. I should honestly be able to tell the difference, but who knows? I mean, I honestly, even though I've drank quite a bit of this, um, I've given more away. So it's not like I'm an expert with this. And Four Roses is definitely not a brand that I know a lot about. Yeah, I definitely prefer their blends to their single barrels. I have had some really unique single barrels from them that's were amazing on a nose, but the palate just didn't do it for me. And I was kind of happy that I have a cheap palate and prefer the. Yeah, I was tried this earlier today and was pretty happy with it. Of course, this is my favorite Four Roses that I've tried, and well, I don't expect them to match up, but still, this was very enjoyable nevertheless. And basically $40 at Costco, and even if you don't find it at Costco, it'll be like 60 plus tax. So let's say 65 at the door. Versus, well, if you want to buy this in or your only choice is going to be secondary, it's going to cost you 350 plus. All right, so as usual, I'm gonna nose them first, give you some notes, then taste them, give some more notes, tell you which I prefer, which is which, and then we'll do the reveal. Right, so let's start with this one. Okay, so straight away, there is a lot of very nice, deep caramel, sort of like milk chocolate, toffee, Werther's original notes. A little bit of a mineral note, kind of like limestone, not Dickel mineral, but more like limestone. Let's imagine you're in a cellar that's where the walls are limestone rather than wood or something. Yeah, very enjoyable. I mean, even on the nose, I have to say, to me, this comes across as a really, really nice bourbon, and I would imagine it has to be this one. Even without going to that, it's just like so much richer than I remember this being. But having said that, let's go to the second one and see. Oh wow, this is also pretty damn good. Definitely not not as rich, I think, but very, very nice. It has a very welcoming mix of spices and caramel, vanilla, and oaky notes, and a little bit reminds me of even the kind of sort of bubblegum notes that you get from some Buffalo Trace Smash Bill 1 products. Very inviting. But this one now smells a little bit more mineral. The mineralness in this is much more apparent than this. So I have to say, from an enjoyment perspective, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. No, but I gotta give it to this one. Final answer. This is much deeper, darker notes, but this is no slouch. I mean, if you tell me like the price difference between these is 5x, I would not believe you. Maybe you can convince me that this is, marginally better, maybe 20-25% better, but just no. There's not 5x difference here. All right, let me go for the pad on this. Wow, that is quite spicy. There's a lot of spices coming out, and the oak and spices are very well integrated. And it's like, imagine you have honey and you spike it with baking spices and then maybe even some jalapeno, and then you just rub oak into it, and that's what it is. It's just super nice, like sweet, spicy, then these kind of like really well integrated bitters. It's great. It's really is a very unique and enjoyable dram. But now I'm not really sure if this is the 135th or this one. I'm going to try this one and see. We'll come back. We'll see. This comes across as more oaky right now than when I first smelled it. So it's really throwing me off. Yeah. So directionally, definitely like the same direction. But what happens here is I get a little bit of a youthfulness and a grain to it. So that those oaky notes where here they seem like they're super well integrated, and the sweetness and the bitters work really well together. Here the bitters are a little bit more accompanied by a little bit of citrus, and they just come across as young. And the sweetness and the sort of flavor profile definitely just feels more grainy, meaning it doesn't feel as aged in that you kind of still feel the sort of fermenting corn and grain profile in some ways. Let me go back and forth one more time, and then I'll give my final answer. Yeah, there's definitely some youthfulness to this. So the nose was amazing. Um, the palate, in a vacuum, great, but just that little bit of youthfulness that um, the 6 to 7 years just wasn't able to take away. Coming back to this now, it's really standing out. Yeah, just the oaks, the oaky notes here, and the sweetness, everything. There's no youthfulness. It's just super well integrated. I don't know. I forgot who the master blender is, but they have done a phenomenal job of making this a superb whiskey. Um, Assuming that it's this, I should do a reveal before I'm like 99.9% sure that this has to be the 135th. Right? Yeah. So this is number one, which makes this number two. Good. Yeah. Okay. There's no contest that this is obviously better. It damn better be, because it costs more than 7 times as much as this. Well, close to 7 times. I got this on sale for $46 out of the door, $45 out of the door. So it's not really from a cost perspective comparable, but if you're on a budget and you see this at Costco, definitely pick yourself up one. It is an amazing whiskey that, of course, is not gonna beat out something 7 or 8 times the price, but it is not 7 times worse. It's maybe 25 to 30% worse, right? It's still a very, very enjoyable experience, especially the nose. Yeah, a little bit of graininess there, which you need age to get rid of that, but very, very enjoyable. This one's quite a masterpiece. All right, I'm gonna stop right there. I hope you enjoyed that episode. This is available at Costco right now, so $40. Oh my god, it's too cheap. Go buy it. You will not regret this if you like the Four Roses profiles, I think. All right, thanks for tuning in, and see you next time. Cheers.